Hi everyone, this is Anandita Paulus, and as you might have guessed, I'm back today with the third law of the seven spiritual laws of success, the video series that I started a few weeks ago. So if you haven't already watched the first three videos, then the links are in the description below. I would highly recommend that you go check them out. So today's video is the third spiritual law of success. The third law is the law of karma, or the law of cause and effect. And the chapter begins with a very beautiful quote by Swami Vivekananda. Karma is the eternal assertion of human freedom. Our thoughts, our words, and deeds are the threads of the net which we throw around ourselves. So if you notice, Swami Vivekananda talks about our thoughts, our words, and our deeds. These are like threads of a net that we throw around ourselves. It is not something that is imposed on us. It is not fate or destiny that is imposing karma on us. We create our own karma. And in fact, karma is such a widely misunderstood concept. A lot of people have their own ideas about karma, which often is very far from what karma really is. And this chapter explains very beautifully what karma really is. And it explains that karma is really about your choices. And we all have choices. When it comes to our thoughts, our actions, our deeds, we all have a choice as how we can react or how we should react. Often, when we are sleepwalking through life, or in other words, when we are living life unconsciously, we feel like we don't have any choice. We feel like we just have to do certain things the way it has always been done. But the moment you start living life more consciously, the more aware you become of the fact that you always do have choices. For instance, today, if somebody criticizes you or abuses you, you immediately would get offended and get angry with that person. On the other hand, if somebody is complimenting you or doing something good for you, then you would like that person. So we don't realize that our reaction to whatever is happening in the outside world is really our choice. But whether we realize it or not, that doesn't make a difference. Whether we choose to get offended or whether we choose to get pleased, it is still a choice that we have. You can choose to get offended when somebody speaks badly to you, or you can choose not to get offended. You can choose to be pleased when somebody compliments you, or you can choose not to be flattered or pleased. It is still a choice. But what is happening in today's world is that we often feel like if somebody is being bad to us, then it is justified to be angry. We have made our emotions so dependent on other people, and we justify it by saying that, yes, of course I should be angry. Of course he will be angry. Of course she will be angry because such and such happened. We don't realize that when we justify our emotions or our actions or our choices based on what somebody else might be doing or saying, or based on what might be going on in your environment, when you justify it, it is a very disempowering position because you are giving away your power to that situation or circumstance or to that person. It is like you are giving your remote control to somebody else and then justifying it, saying that, of course, I will be happy because he said this or she did that. Or, of course, I will be sad because this didn't happen and that should have happened, but it didn't happen that way that I wanted. So we don't realize that we are giving away our remote controls to somebody else. And then what happens is we start living a life at somebody else's mercy because now our happiness and our sadness, our internal state of being is completely controlled by outside circumstances. And that definitely is not the way to live life, but that's what a lot of us are doing. And so the law of karma really talks about becoming more consciously aware of your choices so that we stop reacting like Pavlov's dog. If you've heard about Pavlov's dog experiment, it's a very famous experiment where Pavlov proves that every time you bring a piece of food to a dog and at the same time ring a bell, once you do that a few times, then the dog has been programmed, and then all you have to do is just ring a bell and the dog will start salivating. And that's pretty much how we are all living in this world right now. We are living in a very reactionary world where we are unconsciously doing things without even realizing what we are doing. So the first step is to become conscious. If you just take a step back. And at the moment when you are making a choice, if you realize that it is a choice that you are making, that whatever decision or whatever action that you choose to do, it is a choice. It is not something that you have to do, but you are choosing to do. In that moment, you take back your power. It is a very empowering moment because once you are consciously aware that you have a choice to be angry or to not be angry, to be sad or to be happy, it's a choice. No matter what is happening in your life, no matter what people are saying or doing, how you behave, how you react, how you respond is always your choice. We often have a very simplistic understanding of the law of karma, where we feel like if we do something good, then good will come back. If we do something bad, then bad will come back. But we need to realize that good and bad are just subjective or contextual things that humans have created. The good and bad labels that we have created in our society, in fact, varies greatly from culture to culture, from country to country, from society to society. These are not universal labels. The universe is not concerned with the labels of good and bad that you might have created in your world or that your society might have created. So, what might be good in certain communities might be considered bad in some other communities. So, good and bad are very subjective and contextual things that we have really picked up or we have been programmed into believing from our society or from our cultural upbringing. But these labels are not universal in nature. And that's why, when it comes to the law of karma, whenever you're making a choice, it is good to ask yourself two questions that Deepak Chopra specifically mentions in this book. And I, in fact, like to ask three questions. I'll add on my third question too to the two questions that Deepak Chopra talks about. The first question that Deepak Chopra talks about is whether you are aware of the consequences of the choice that you are making. And secondly, if the choice that you are about to make is going to bring you happiness as well as those around you happiness. If a choice that you are making brings distress to either you or to those around you, then that is not a choice which you should be taking. And the third question that I personally like to add on to that is what is the intention behind the choice? In fact, coming back to the second point, that whether your choice brings happiness to you and to those around you or not, I would even like to add on to that as well, that when we are trying to determine whether it brings happiness to you or to those around you or not, we should be focused on long term happiness and not just short term pleasure. Because sometimes when we are only thinking about short term pleasure or pain, then we are not looking at the bigger picture. And I can give an example from my own life. Like years ago, when I was getting my divorce, I knew that this particular action was going to bring a lot of pain to the lives of my family, my husband, his family. And yet, I also knew that this was the right action for me. And in spite of the fact that me and my ex-husband, we were on very good terms, we were on friendly terms. If I would have thought of it only short term, thinking that, oh, in the short run is going to bring so much chaos, then today I wouldn't have been as happy as I am, and he wouldn't have been as happy as he is today. And we are still on good friendly terms. So you need to think long term. Often people get sidetracked or disillusioned by the idea of short term pain and pleasure. So when you look at your action and see whether it is bringing short term pleasure or long term pleasure, or short term happiness and long term happiness. When you're looking to make up your mind about the choice that you have on hand, always keep in mind the long term picture, the long term objective, the long term result, instead of only focusing on the immediate short term goal or immediate short term result. Because in the short term, things might seem a certain way, which in the long term it might not be. And now, coming to the third point that I mentioned, is what is the intention behind the action? I feel like keeping that in mind is also very important, in addition to the 2 points that Deepak Chopra mentioned, because I believe that intention is everything. This is because that the universe is really listening to your intention, not to the action itself, not to the words itself, but the intention behind it. For instance, when we were young, sometimes we felt that our parents might have been a little bit too strict with us. But it was only years later we realized that whatever they did was actually for our highest good. So it is really the intention behind the action that matters and not really the action itself. Because the action is energized by the energy of the intention or the emotion or the motivation, what is the motivating force behind the action. That would determine the end result. So always be mindful, always ask yourself, what is my real intention behind this particular choice? Am I making this choice from a place of love and acceptance for me and everybody else? Or am I making this choice for some ego based reasons? Maybe I'm making a certain choice because it will make me look good in people's eyes. And people are thinking I'm doing it for them because I love them, but I'm actually doing it because it makes me look good. So it is always good to be mindful that what is the real intention behind your actions. And a very interesting tip that Deepak Chopra suggests, and in fact, I go into much further detail about this particular technique in one of my videos, which is about intuition. And I have put the link to that video as well in the description, where I teach several different ways of enhancing your intuition and getting in touch with your intuition, with your inner voice. So, this particular technique that Deepak Chopra talks about is about becoming more aware of how a certain action or how a certain choice feels in your body. When you ask yourself, if I take this choice, how does it feel? Or how will the outcome be? And just feel in your body how it feels. If it feels like an expansive feeling or like a comforting feeling, often people feel it in their solar plexus or in their heart. So if it feels like a comfortable feeling, then that is a choice that you should take. On the other hand, if it feels like an uncomfortable feeling, like a feeling of distress or a contraction, then that is not a choice that you should be making. But while you are using this technique, keep in mind one thing, that let's say you and your friend are in exactly the same situation in life, and now you both are faced with the same decision, and you check within, and a certain choice seems good to you, it feels comfortable to you, and the same choice feels uncomfortable to your friend. It doesn't mean that one of you are right or wrong. It only means that the same choice which is in alignment with you is not in alignment with her. Because when you tune into your heart, a lot of people think that the heart is just sentimental and mushy, but that is not true. The heart is actually very intuitive, and the heart does not have a win lose attitude towards life. The heart takes into account everything. And so, taking into account everything, it tells you exactly what is the right choice for you. But what is the right choice for you is not a universally right choice. It is only contextual in nature for you. It is only a contextual choice. All choices are contextual, they are not universal. And that's why when you connect to your own heart, you receive the guidance or the intuitive nudge to do what is right for you. It need not be the right action for your friend or a relative or somebody else, because there are no such universal rules that everybody should be following in a particular given situation. And then the chapter talks about 3 very useful ways of dissolving your karma, because every single action that we take, whether we drink a cup of coffee or we go for a run, we are creating karma. Every action generates karma. So the 3 simple ways of dissolving karma is, first of all, of course, paying off your karmic debts, but that is not the simplest way, because that could be sometimes very painful. The second is to transmute the energy of your existing karma. And by transmutation, what happens is, even if that energy was negative, you can transform it into something positive by asking yourself, why is this happening and what is the universe trying to communicate to me, and how can I convert it into something positive, something meaningful that I can use in my life, and I can also help others learn from it. When you shift your focus from self-pity or distress, that why is this happening to me, from that question, when you start asking the right questions, that what is the universe trying to tell to me? Why is this happening right now? What do I need to learn from it? When you change your question, when you change your focus, then you have the ability to transmute any karma into something good and positive. And who knows, maybe something bad happened to you, but because you transmuted the energy, you learned something from it. And then later on, you could teach that to others, and that could possibly be one of your income generation streams, or that could be possibly one of your businesses. And that is one of the ways in which the universe supports you when you work in accordance with the law of karma. And the third step, and that is actually one of my favorite steps, is to transcend karma altogether. So, one thing to understand is that you create karma because of duality. The moment you transcend the duality perspective, the perspective of there is a me separate from others, you transcend karma. Because karma is only possible when there is duality. There is a me separate from others. There is this ego, the split that we create within ourselves. The ego is just a separation from the true self. The true self doesn't have any karma, but the ego accumulates karma. And as long as you are attached to your ego, which is nothing but your idea that I am this body, I am my thoughts, I am my emotions, these thoughts, these emotions, this body is mine, this is who I am, that thought creates such a strong sense of separation. And from that sense of separation, karma starts accumulating. So the more you are able to transcend the idea that you are this body, you are this mind, the more you are able to transcend karma as well. And one of the most effective ways of doing that is, of course, through meditation. And there are specific ways of meditation, even though Deepak Chopra doesn't go into the details of those meditations. But I believe that there are certain kinds of meditations which are meant for certain specific purposes. For instance, the meditations that I teach in my meditation mastery workshops, they are meant to enhance your intuition, for losing weight, for increasing your awareness, for manifestations. But there are certain kinds of meditations which are more geared towards self-inquiry and self-realization. And those meditations especially help a lot in transcending the idea of separation. And the more you transcend that idea of separation, the more you start dissolving or transcending your karma, the less you are affected by your karma, and more you stop creating new karma. One of the methods that I really like is focusing on the affirmations while meditating that I am not the body, I am not even the mind. Another way could be just self-inquiry through meditation on the question, who am I? And when your mind comes up with an answer, let's say I'm a nurse, I'm a doctor, I'm an engineer, I'm a dancer, whatever it is, then you ask the question that, am I this, or I am that which is aware of this? And then you just keep your focus on that pure awareness. And every time you find your mind getting distracted to a thought, you again bring yourself back to the question, who am I? So I hope you liked today's video. If you like it, then please like it, share it, subscribe to my channel, because I'll be talking about the remaining 4 laws of success in my upcoming videos. I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.